It's running really slow on my end, but I think we're live. So hello, everybody. Nobody, I don't know. I feel like this was not a great weekend to do a live, but I always do my reading wrap-ups the last Sunday of the month. That's my thing. It keeps me on a schedule. It lets people know when to tune in. So I'm just going to treat this like a little book club meeting, and we're going to talk about all of the books that we read this month. But before we do that, you guys know I'm Gwen. You're on my channel. I love to read, do reading vlogs. I like thrillers and romance and all of the things. But let's go ahead and introduce my other friends. We'll start with Jessie. We'll do Jordan and then Lena.
Hi, my name is Jessie. I have a channel called Reading with Jess. Over there, you can catch me doing like reading vlogs, challenges, book reviews, TBR wrap-ups, things like that. I typically read a lot of thrillers. Sometimes I'll throw horror in there. And then I feel like this summer I'm going to get back into romance, but we'll see.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Jordan. My channel is Sorry Booked Solid. I've got really similar content to all of these guys. So I also do a lot of reading vlogs and like themed TBR challenges and things like that. I read a lot of thrillers and mysteries, but also like realistic science fiction, historical fiction, contemporaries, pretty much anything about real people in real life.
And I'm Lena. My channel is Lena's Bookshelf, and my Instagram is also Lena's Bookshelf. And this is my first live show, and I'm very excited. My channel's still new, but these guys have all been helping me kind of launch my little YouTube baby, and it's been a fun ride so far. I read a lot of thrillers, but I also dabble in some other genres.
Yeah, you just did a historical fiction recommendation video, and I was like furiously taking notes on that. So, but all of their channels are linked down below. Their Instagram handles are linked down below, so you can find them. I also have a list of all of the books that we read this month linked down below. And I also have a few fun things linked with mine. Like I read The Other Black Girl, and I found that the author did a playlist for that book. So I have that linked down below. And then I have my Scribd 60 Days Free linked down below as well, because I listened to Finn by Stephen King, which is exclusively available on Scribd. So just in case you're interested in that, you can use my link, get 60-day free, and listen to it for free.
I didn't know that was just on Scribd. That's
yeah, it's a Scribd exclusive. You know how like Audible does Audible originals and you can't get them anywhere else? I think this is the first one I've ever known to be an exclusive Scribd thing.
Cool.
But I know that Stephen King is always like playing into like new ways of publishing, reaching new audiences. I mean, with all of the books that he has, like not everybody on the planet still hasn't read one book by him at least. I don't know. But yeah, they did an exclusive. It's a very short, quick listen. I listened to it on like 2x speed, and I think it was like 30 minutes. So that's one of the things that I listened to read this month. But I want to know what you guys read and like what your favorite book was, what your least favorite book was, and all of that. So we're going to jump in with how many books did you guys read this month?
I think I got to 13, or I'm at 12 and I'm halfway through my last one, which I definitely will finish in the next day or two.
Nice.
I got 8, so I'm always the straggler, but I got 8.
That's good, Jessie.
Mine is either 12 or 13. I did read a short story, but it was literally 36 pages. So I'm not sure if it like counts as a full book. So we'll do 12 plus a short story.
I think
I count. I count everything.
Goodreads counts it.
Yeah. Exactly. But I did divide mine up. I read 13 novels and 3 like short stories, novellas. My short story novellas were extremely short. That's why I did separate them. I read One Little Mistake by Lucinda Berry, which Lena and Jessie also listened to this month. I was like twinning. And then I also read Finn, which I already talked to you guys about, by Stephen King. And that was like 30 minutes of listening. And then I also listened to this other book called Townie by Neel Patel. Don't recommend that one, but it was also very, very short. Yeah, that was a little, I don't know. I couldn't even really write a review about it, but I did link somebody else's review on that one, that they just like they said everything that I wanted to say that I didn't even know how to say. So if you're interested, check out my Goodreads, and then you can read why I don't recommend that one necessarily. But let's see who is here. I know Kim is here. I'm trying to, it's going very slow. Is it showing up? I always have so much problem with these comments. Okay, there. Hi, Kim. Thanks for being here. I had trouble the last live show, and I'm having trouble this live show with comments. I don't know what's going on, but I'm trying, guys. Hey, Megan. Glad you could make it. Ashley is here. Hey, Sarah. Yay, Jessie's here and
hey,
there.
Jess.
Hey, Marisol. See?
8 books.
8's good.
8 books is like 8 more than the average person reads in a month. So
it's 8 to 10 is usually my average. So
yeah, it's perfectly solid.
Yeah, some people don't even read 8 books in a year. So
true.
You're like ahead of the game.
That is true. That is very true.
Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. I love how everybody gets to know everybody, like in all the live shows and in the comment section and stuff. Hey, Teresa.
Yeah, you start recognizing names.
You definitely do. Hey, Kathleen. Finishing up book 11 right now and hope to fit one more in tomorrow with the holiday. Are any of you guys currently reading anything?
Yes, I'm finishing up Confessions by Kanai Minato, and I'm 128 pages in, and it's only like 235 pages long, so I'm less than 100 pages from the end, and it's a pretty quick read. So this is what I'm in the middle of. It's like
How are you liking it?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not quite what I expected. I didn't really know what to expect going in. It's a Japanese thriller horror kind of book that's been translated to English. And Gwen, I know you've personally recommended to me, and I've just seen it around, and it's like the Literally Dead book club pick this month. So it's definitely popular. I was expecting it to be a little bit faster paced. It's slower than I was expecting, and there are good twists, but I was just expecting for some reason it to be like super action packed, but it's much more subtle in how it presents it to you. So I'm interested to see the ending and see.
Yeah, I think the reason why when I see a short book, I automatically assume that it's going to be fast paced, and that's just not the case.
I know.
But with that one, because it's told through multiple perspectives, the chapters feel like they're 100 pages each, and you're just like, can we get to the good part?
Yeah, they're long. It's very different than I was expecting, but the twists are good. It's a good story, so it's interesting.
Nice. Yeah. I'm curious to read that one.
Yeah.
Are you reading anything, Jessie?
I'm not. I finished The Missing by Kiersten Modglin. I think that's how you say her last name. I read that for the Thrill to the Weekend. I knew that was going to be my only book, and I somehow managed to get that one done through all the chaos. If anyone didn't know in the comments, I had my younger sister's bachelorette party, and I'm exhausted, and I'm so glad it's over with.
She just got home, guys.
Impressive that you were able to read a book, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we were out like on the lake, so there's a lot of like float time and like things like that. But yeah, that was the last book I read. I think I'm just going to go ahead and jumpstart tomorrow on my June TBR. So
nice.
What about you, Lena?
I am currently reading The Hidden Wives. This is the last I did for our Facebook book club that we're all in. I did the TBR jar challenge with a partner, and they pick your TBR, you pull it out of a jar or whatever. And so this was the last one that I had in my jar. And so I'm about 50 pages in, but then I put it down because it's not technically a thriller. It's just YA. So I put it down to do my Thrill to the Weekend reads. But it's a YA about Mormon polygamous cult, which I typically don't read YA, but I mean, most stories about polygamy are kind of that teenage era anyways, because they get married young and they don't really get more than an 8th grade education. So they typically are like more immature anyways. So it reads just like all of the thrillers that I've read that are like adult polygamy books or the memoirs that I've read that are about polygamy. So it's pretty good so far.
Very interesting. I am currently reading My Best Friend's Exorcism. I just started it today. I'm about this far in. I think it's fun so far. It is a YA book, and I don't typically read YA anymore because I don't really enjoy YA that much anymore. But I do love Grady Hendrix, so I'm enjoying it. It's just funny, and like there's things that happen, and I'm like, is that real? Like even the little, like, what is it called, the acknowledgement or whatever, or what's it called? I don't think it's called the acknowledgement, but anyway, he says, for Amanda, who knows the reasons why, and then he has a little asterisk, and then at the bottom it says, but if she doesn't, I would suggest that she have her attorney consult both protective orders filed against her, the criminal complaint, which outlines these reasons in great detail, and maybe also her conscience, because disclosing the whereabouts of the bodies will finally bring some kind of closure for my family. And I'm like, is this real? Or like, is this not real? Like, it's so weird, but I love it. So anyway, Megan over here killing it with like so many books.
Wow.
Did y'all see that? I probably clicked off the comments. The comments are just, I'm sorry guys. Do you see this? I'm a noob at this or something. Okay, here we go.
It's up.
25 bucks, Megan. That is incredible. We love to see a reading month like that. Kim, 19, working on It by Stephen King.
I think when I read It, I think it was the only book I read that whole month when I read It like 4 years ago.
Well, yeah.
I think it would take me like months to read that book.
I don't even.
Yeah, I think Kim said that Rain from Bruise and Binds is doing like a whole summer long read along of that book. Which I'm like, that's accurate all summer long.
Yeah, no doubt. Confessions is one of her all-time favorites. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey, Elizabeth.
I'm like looking at this comment like, I finished 9. I DNF 29.
I'm like, Gwen, is that secretly you?
I know. I'm like, is this my twin? Because, okay, mentioning DNFs, did you guys DNF any books this month? Because I DNF'd 3.
I did.
I know, Jordan!
I know, I never do. And I have like twice already this year.
That is crazy.
Yes, I DNF'd 1, 2, 3 by Lori Frankel,
right.
which I've read from this author before. She wrote a book called This Is How It Always Is. And that was about a family who had like a transgender child and all about that experience for them. So it was super emotional, super impactful, and kind of eye-opening. So I figured her new release would also be in the same vein or similar vein. This is about 3 triplet girls who live in this town that has a really weird past. All of the triplets have like abnormalities, and actually everyone left in the town has like abnormalities because of something that happened in the town previously. And so it's kind of about them, but it's like nothing really happened the whole rest of it. Like the interesting part is what happened in the past, but that already happened. So it's like a really boring part now about their lives afterwards. So I just got to the point where I was like, I literally do not care what happens at the end of this. It will make no difference to me. There's no way for it to be satisfying. So I put it down. I'd be curious if anyone else read any of her other books, because I know she has some others. And I wonder if she was like a one-hit wonder type of author, because I heard a lot of good things about her previous book, but this was way different, so I didn't like it.
Jessie, any DNFs?
I did not DNF.
Oh, okay. What about you, Lena?
Yes, I had 1 DNF, and it was I See You by Claire Mcintosh.
Oh, no, that's on my TBR.
Yeah, so it sounded like super intriguing. I picked it up. I paid $2.74 for it, so I'm not that upset about it. But it's about this woman who is on her commute, and she starts seeing pictures of these people in this advertisement in the newspaper, and then the picture of the person that she sees, all this bad stuff starts happening to those people in the pictures. And so then one day she sees her own picture on the advertisements or whatever. That happened in the first chapter, and then we heard nothing else about any of that for
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
That sounds so annoying.
Yeah. So like there's all these people and all this bad stuff happening. And then she's like, oh, that's me. And she goes home to her family and is like, is this me? And they're like, kind of looks like you. And she's like, okay. And then she's like complaining about her awful relationship with her husband. And she has this teenager that's like really like rude and bratty. And at 100 pages, I was like, no. And I picked it up because I saw a lot of people like picking up the like airplane thriller by this author and stuff like that. But then I think Jessie like unhauled a book of hers last month maybe or recently, and Jacqueline unhauled a book of hers recently too. And so I was like, okay, I'm just not even gonna try if
okay. I think I'm just gonna take it off my TBR because if all these people are unhauling it, I'm okay with.
I just don't think she's that author for me. Yeah. So I read Hostage by her and it was just okay. I think it took a while for me to get into it, but it was just a 3-star book for me. So
mentioning authors that are not for you, I tried to pick up 2 books by Stephen Rowley this month. I was going to do an author taste test. Yeah, that didn't happen. So you're not going to be seeing that video because I DNF'd both of the books. I was really excited. Well, actually, this is the one that started me. Like, I had this on one of my most anticipated lists from last year. And this book has such a high rating on Goodreads, like a 4.23 or something crazy like that. Like, literally everybody loves this freaking book. And then last summer when I went on like a book club retreat, I saw this in a bookstore and I just love this cover. And then it's blurbed by Taylor Jenkins Reid on the front. So I was like, sold. And then I was like, oh, it's the same author. So anyway, I don't think that, I mean, it's a totally me thing. I think that it was just the writing and the humor of the author that I was like, this is dumb. I'm not entertained. He definitely has like a very distinctive humor and writing. Like, I don't want to say like drama, but almost like, it's so hard to explain. It's humor that I don't like. And so that was such like a heavy theme in these books of like the main characters, like being funny, I guess, but they weren't funny to me. And I was just like, I just can't stomach. I would literally hate these characters by the end. And I was like, I don't think these are supposed to be characters that you hate. And also these are like, LGBT books and stuff like that. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't like pressure myself to read a book I know I'm going to hate and then rate it low. And like when other people are going to absolutely love these books. So I just DNF'd those. And then also at the beginning of the year, or maybe it was like at the end of December, I asked on my Instagram stories, like a whole bunch of books. Like I was like, should I read it or should I unhaul it? And one of the books was The Jigsaw Man by Nadine Matheson. And it was a close call, but most people said to DNF it. But then I was like, but it's about a serial killer. I kind of do want to read it. Yeah, y'all were right. I should have just DNF'd it because it was just, the writing was so boring. I mean, I was only like, you know how you were talking like you just didn't care. I was only, let's see, 40, 50. What page was I on? Because I marked it. I was on page 55 and I was like, slow, boring, can't keep the character straight. The audiobook was zero help. Yeah, not worth my time. So DNF'd that one. So those were my 3 DNFs. Yeah, I can't be bothered. I have so many books on my TBR, so many books I'm looking forward to that if I pick something up, I'm moving on to the next one. And it looks like there were people out here DNFing this month. Ashley had 3 DNFs. Kim had 2 DNFs. Megan said she didn't have any DNFs, but she probably should have. Let's see what Kim says here. Hidden Pictures. Yes, I recently purchased that. So I will be reading that soon.
I'm really interested in that one.
Me too.
Me too.
Yes. So I recently recorded an episode for my podcast. The episode comes out tomorrow and it is books that will keep you up past your bedtime. And I had Zany Laney on as a guest and she recommended this book. And she said when she first read it, she actually listened to it on audiobook, but then she got sent a physical copy. And she did see the pictures in it. And I have seen people show the pictures and she was like, it almost made her just like want to read it again because the pictures were like wow, it makes me want to read it again. So I'm really excited. I went out I think it was the next day and bought it. So there's that.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to do both. I'm going to listen and read because that's what I like to do. Hello. Thanks for joining. Yes. That episode was a lot of fun. I think we had 3, maybe 4 recommendations each. That's a good episode. Anyway, okay, back to our questions. Any rereads this month for anybody?
No.
Nope.
No rereads for me either. How about new to you authors that you really, really liked? I know. I'm just going to say it now because Jessie's going to be so freaking excited.
I'm so excited.
This is my review for this one. So yes, I did it, Jessie. So we were doing some reading sprints on my Patreon a couple nights ago, and we were talking about this. Jessie was like, "Can you just do an author taste test for this author already?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it," and I did it. So that video is coming soon. So there will be spoilers. That I loved these freaking books. And guys, I'm just gonna let you guys know now that I told you guys before that the author actually sent this to me back in 2020. Of course, so she personally reached out to me. I was like, "Hey, do you want to read a book and do it for review?" And I don't accept books for review. I just don't. And I tell people that. I tell publishers, I tell authors, I'm like, "Sorry, I just don't because I'm a mood reader. I never know when I'm going to get to it." So she said, "Oh, well, you could just, when you get to it, post a review. I don't care." And I was like, "Okay, sure. If you want to send me a book, whatever." So she sent it to me 2 years ago. And I emailed her after I read it.
I emailed her.
I did. I was like, "So my only regret is that I didn't read this sooner. It was so freaking good." And I was like, "If you have any other books you want me to review." And I was like, "I promise I won't let them collect dust this time." And then, guys, I asked her to be on my podcast and she said yes.
Ooh.
So I'm so excited. So I may be talking to her in 2023 on my podcast and I'm dying.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I mean, I don't know if I will be able to make it happen, but I asked her, I was like, "Oh yeah, so I have this podcast and do you want to be on it?" And she was like, "Well, what dates and all that?" So yeah, we're talking about it, guys. We're talking about it.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
I know. I'm dying. So yeah, really excited about this author, obviously.
Nice. I think the new to me author that I was most excited about, you can't even read the author name, but A.R. Torre, who wrote The Good Lie, which was Jessie's book club pick this last month with Ashley from Ashley's Little Library. I just thought it was a really well-crafted thriller. I only gave it 4 stars because it wasn't absolutely new favorite mind-blowing type thing, but when you just know the author knows what they're doing when it comes to writing thrillers. So that's why I think them, and I already own The Girl in 6E, which is more of a backlist thriller, but I'm excited to get to it now because I've also heard pretty good things about this one, or polarizing at least.
I have, I guess, 3 in a way. I also read The Good Lie by A.R. Torre, but I have read another book by this author. It's The Ghostwriter, but she goes by Alessandra Torre. So it's the same person, just under a different name. So I really liked it. I think I convinced myself on my live show that I'm going to give it 4 stars. So I really liked it. There was just a few things I had a few issues with. I also picked up The Collective by Allison Wheelan, which Lena actually said is one of her favorites. So that's why I picked it up and I really enjoyed it. I gave this 4 stars. And then I also picked up One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle, I think it's her name. And
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed this one. I actually read this on Mother's Day. So, and I feel like this is appropriate because it's about a mother-daughter relationship. So I gave this one 4 stars too.
Nice.
Jessie, have you read her other book?
In 5 years?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I haven't really heard good things about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I should.
My least favorite books I have ever read ever.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, oh
rough.
God, please, Lena, don't say it's good. It's good because
No.
it's not.
I
Just skip
hated
it.
so much.
Really?
I've
Okay.
heard some
Well,
things about the new one, but I'm like, nope, cannot, no, will not do it.
I haven't really heard that good of things of In 5 Years, so I probably won't read it. But
Yeah.
this one, for some reason, caught my eye.
I don't think you would like it, Jessie.
Okay, then I will trust your recommendation.
I also was gonna say A.R. Torre. I don't have the book, The Good Lie. I listened to it on Audible. Thank you. But yeah, that was my first book I'd ever read, and I actually went into it and I didn't even read the synopsis. I was just like, okay, it's for Jessie's book club. Like, click. I have an extra credit on Audible, and I just like went in blind. And then the first chapter, they're talking about like cutting off penises, and I was like, what am I reading? It was so good, and I really liked the writing style, and I felt like it moved along. So I definitely am gonna look into some other A.R. Torre books. But I also wanted to mention William Landay. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of bright. Landay, he wrote Defending Jacob, and this one really caught me off guard. It's about an attorney who is trying to help detectives figure out who murdered this teenage boy in a park by his house. And then it turns out that the number one suspect they have for the murderer is actually the attorney's son. So then he's having to figure out how to get his son acquitted. But you know, he's trying to acquit his son, whether or not his son is the murderer. So it's, if you like Jodi Picoult style writing, it's really good. And he has some really good courtroom scenes that aren't like confusing. They aren't confusing. They aren't boring. Doesn't make you feel stupid for not knowing like some of the terms and stuff. But I really liked it.
Nice. I haven't even heard of that author. So
it's also an Apple TV show.
Yeah, I think it was made into a show.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So mentioning A.R. Torre real quick, I have read the Girl in 6E trilogy. I did think that the first book was the best. I don't remember. I mean, you can read any book in a series as a standalone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, unless you really love the first one, it's more of the same in the second book and the third book. So that would be my advice there. But that was another author that I had reached out to like many years ago when I read that. And I was like, please tell me there are more books coming in the series. And she had always said, like, if enough people liked it, you know, she could tell more books or whatever. So I hung on for so long, hoping that she was going to write more, but it's been like 5 years or something. So I've given up that dream. I let that ship sail. But I have also read Every Last Secret. I think that's what it's called. The other one with like the water on the cover. Wasn't really a fan of that.
Yeah, I haven't heard great things about that one.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was, I mean, it was okay. I won't say it was terrible. It wasn't worth the read. A 3-star, you know, average, you know, if you've got nothing else to read, sure, pick it up. But I think most of us here have more than one book sitting on our TBRs, so skip it. But when Jessie and like all of these people were talking about that book, I was like, okay, Jessie, I'll pick it up. So I put it on hold at my library. So maybe I'll be reading that this summer as well.
I think you would like it.
Yeah, I think I would too, because I really do like her writing. Mm-hmm. It's just what story am I reading? So, but Emily said one of her new favorite authors, Helen Wong. Oh. Have y'all read anything by that author?
I haven't, but heard great things.
Yeah, she's a really good author. And then Kim wanted to know if you cried, Jessie, when you read that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, Colleen Hoover has made me cry more, but like I did tear up a little bit.
Nice.
That's crazy. So if this is a spoiler for your video, you don't have to say, but are you planning on continuing the series for The Arrangement?
I don't know. I thought it was such a good ending. I was like mind blown. And isn't like 3 books?
There's a third one now coming out.
The third one comes out July, I think. The second one's good. The second one was a 4-star and the first one was a 5-star for me. So,
yeah. The first one was so good. I hate that when you love a first book so much, you're like, should I? And it could be a standalone. I mean, it was for a few years, right? So I'm like, why? But obviously she had more story to tell. I don't know. I'm nervous.
It's good.
Okay, maybe I will. The Dinner List. Never heard of that one.
Oh, interesting.
I like Defending Jacob.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. I can make that work.
It's funny. Yeah, I mean, okay, Kim. I already warned you. That's all I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So excited for that.
I have a hold on the amendment. Yeah, I was surprised that there were going to be 3 books in that series now. Okay, so did anybody pick anything from Book of the Month? And what did you pick? And did you read it?
Are you talking about like our box, or did we pick up any?
Did you pick anything up in May? And did you read any Book of the Month books? We'll go with that.
I got the oh my gosh, what's it called? Darling Girl, which is a fantasy, which is not something I typically pick. I don't know why I picked it. So we'll see. And then I also added the Love Hypothesis because I've heard such good things about that one. And then the only Book of the Month book that I did read, which was The Collective, but I actually didn't get this from Book of the Month. I got it in a free little library. So
I did. I got 3 books in my May box and I read them all. So my main pick, I did Breathless by Amy McCulloch, I think is how you say it, and gave it. Should I say I have a vlog coming out? I really liked it. I get.
Okay.
And then I got an add-on. I did The Change by Kiersten Miller, which is an interesting one. It's kind of more fantasy, which I knew that going in, but I had seen thriller readers give it good reviews. So I was like, okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. It was a little more fantasy than I prefer. So I would definitely recommend it to people who like fantasy or magical realism type elements, because it's about 3 middle-aged women who have come into like magical powers in their menopause years. And it's very like, go women, screw men. Let's get revenge for things that they've done to us in the past. So I liked that aspect of it. The superpowers part just wasn't my personal thing. And then I also added on The Four Winds because I've just been meaning to read more Chris and Hannah. So I read this, and I know you guys are eagerly awaiting to hear what I thought. I loved it. So no shock there. Like, Chris and Hannah is one of those authors that for years now at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna love her books. Whenever I pick them up, I know I'm gonna love them. I'm just not ready yet. And now I'm ready. I'm diving in.
Nice. Did you do any Book of the Month books this month, Lena?
Yeah, so in my box, I got the what is it? Hold My Hand or Take My Hand? Take My Hand. The historical fiction pick. And I did not read that one this month, but I also added on True Viz by Sarah Novich. And so I read that one this year, this add-on. And then I also read Like a Sister. This was from last month. I read this at the beach. I don't recommend reading this at the beach. This is not a good beach read. It is very sad, very depressing. Literally nothing positive or happy happened in this book. Not a good beach read. A good read, not a good beach read. And then I also read The Hunting Wives by May Cobb, and I have a reading vlog for that one if you're interested in my thoughts.
Nice.
Okay.
I found Like a Sister in that free little library that I go to all the time, and I would have picked it up. I was like, I know Lena did not like this one as much, so I'm just going to leave it.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it 3 stars. It was like, it had good elements, but it was really, really depressing.
Okay, so I picked 2. I got Breathless, and I still don't know how to say the title, guys. I'm like Yerba Buena, I think. Yerba. I don't. Anyway, I got the new Nina LaCour book. This is her adult debut. I'm a big fan of hers. I've read 3 other books by her, and I loved them all. So I was very excited, and I've actually been waiting for this book since like 2019, 2020. I think it initially was, I think maybe let's just go with 2020. Of course, it got pushed because of COVID code, kept getting pushed. And then finally I got it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I finally have it. And then I wanted to listen to it on audiobook because I've listened to her other books on audiobook. And it was like, it doesn't come out until May 31st. And I was like, well, that doesn't help me at all. So I did do a reading vlog of these, and that will be coming, I think, next Sunday you'll be able to see. But I'm going to tell you my thoughts right now. I had the opposite opinion of Jordan with this one. I know she enjoyed it, and I know her star rating, but I'm not going to out her right now. But I rated
we
this.
We could talk about it.
Stars.
Do we need to debate a little bit?
I rated this 2 stars.
Interesting.
I did not like it at all because, okay, so the basic premise of this one is you're following a journalist that is trying to obtain this career-making interview by this legendary mountaineer guy because he's working on this mission project of climbing, summiting the 14 highest mountains in the world over 8,000 meters. And he's on his very last mountain that he has to summit. And then he'll be like, the god in the climbing world and all that. But it's a thriller. So the thrilling aspect, not only just the sport in general, but also there is a killer on the mountain possibly. And that's what I went into it for. The climbing was cool, but I kind of do already know a little bit about climbing. And I will say that if you don't, you can still read this book. I think that's where the strength of this book is with the climbing. The author herself, she was the youngest Canadian woman to summit in 2019 of the exact mountain that they talk about in this book. So I thought that was it was great. You felt like you were on the mountain and all of that. But it takes you 100 pages of the 300-page book to get to the mountain. You're just meeting the team and the setup, and I'm doing this job because of this, and you're learning all the characters and all the backstories, and I'm just like, I don't care. Get me to the mountain, then tell me all who these people are. And, so I don't like when a story kind of info dumps a lot about the characters that you could learn as the story progressed. So that was one downside of it. And then the other downside of it is it's kind of like, and then there were none on the mountain. That's what it's like. But the body count doesn't really pick up until the end of the book. There's only before they even start their climb, well, actually they're training because they're going to such a high elevation. There's one body that's found, and it's supposed that it's an accident. And I felt like I wasn't invested in these deaths because the characters were not invested in the deaths that were happening, because they were like, well, this is a really crazy sport. People die all the time. It was an accident. What are we going to do? Are we going to summit or what? And so I was like, okay, we're going to summit. Let's go. And I was like, but there's a dead body. Okay. So I just felt like when people died, they were kind of like, oh, that's so tragic. All right, let's hit the next, I was just whiplash. You couldn't really, it was only the journalist that was really but people are dying. This is crazy, guys. And they were just yeah, but that's what people sign up for. They know it's, hard to do and that this thing happens. And I was just but so that's why I didn't really like it. So yeah.
Well, quick rebuttal. I'll say that the part that you said of the climbing is the best part, is how she describes it. And that's one of my favorite things about books or in books, is when a subject matter expert writes about the thing that they know super well. And if it's something that I don't really know anything about, but I can feel the passion and the expertise about it, I love that so much. And I feel like that's kind of one of the points for reading for me, of being able to learn about things that I don't know about and probably will never learn about. So I really loved the climbing information that was in here. And then the other part that I liked about it was the fact that it was and then there were none isolated closed circle mystery, but it actually wasn't isolated or closed circle, because they were coming into contact with other climbing groups, and people could go about freely and leave leave the area, do whatever. They were interacting with more than just their core group, which I thought was a really interesting and modern take on that trope, because I feel like these days having a truly isolated situation is so impossible with, technology and just how prepared people are these days for, you don't just find yourself stuck in the middle of nowhere these days, I don't think. So I thought it was an interesting take on that, having that element of other people, a way out kind of into that isolated feeling of a mystery. But more thoughts in the vlog.
Yeah, more thoughts in my vlog too. And then the other one that I picked up, like I said, Nina LaCour's adult debut. I loved this. I gave it 4 stars. And there were a couple of reasons why that I didn't rate it 5 stars. Watch the vlog next Sunday to find out why. But I just want to warn anybody that reads this, take names. A character list is helpful. Let me just give you a glimpse of my very detailed character list. There are over 50 side characters, and they're all important. So you're gonna need a list, guys. I thought it was totally worth it, and I think the reason why there were so many characters is because you follow so it's basically about these 2 girls, Sarah and Emily, and they start as teenagers. And the stories are 2 totally separate stories. So you're reading about Sarah's life and what's happening in Sarah's life. And then it flips over and it talks about Emily's life and what's going on in Emily's life. And you follow them through their late 20s, early 30s. So in that span of time, 20 years, let's say, you're going to have a lot of people that are important in your life and that come up, like some when they were kids and some when they were older. And it was basically maybe 3 time jumps kind of. But her writing is just so freaking good. I just could not stop. But it is also a sapphic, I'm not going to say romance, but a love story. So I say not romance because it's not very romantic. These 2 girls have been through it. There are lots of content warnings in here. I wrote a couple down. Especially for Sarah, she just did some very questionable things when she was a teenager to get money because she was desperate for money. Death, divorce, arrests, underage consensual sex, and sexual assault of a minor. Those are some of the things. But yeah, I read 30 pages of the book and I was lost. I was like, what is life? Who are these people? I am so freaking lost. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a character list. I'm starting over on page number 1. And I was just writing all these notes on these characters. And it was totally worth it. I rated it 4 stars. So I loved that book. So if you're in for an investment, maybe you're not the type of person that needs a character list. Maybe you can just go in and just go with the flow. But for me, because they had their families and their siblings and then their friends when they're younger. And then as they're older, people that they work with and all that. It was worth it. It was one of the best reading experiences ever, even though it was a little bit more work, obviously. So yeah, loved that one. Okay. So what was your highest rated book and what was your lowest rated book?
So I had 3 5 stars, which is pretty good for me. I don't have all of them. There were 2 Book of the Month books, and then the other one was Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Have any of you guys also read that one?
Of course I've read it.
Okay.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I had heard nothing.
Jenkins Reid. I've never read one.
Okay, Lena. We've got to get you on that. This was the last one.
By her?
What?
No,
You haven't read anything by her?
I have not read a single book by her.
That's my gasp. I was like,
yeah,
my heart.
We need to get you on that. This was the last one of hers that I had yet to read. So I listened to it and I gave it 5 stars. So loved it.
When I read that, I listened to it back to back. It was that good.
Yeah.
Listened to it once and I was like, and we're starting over again.
It's very quick. It's a super short audiobook. So
I rated Book Lovers by Emily Henry 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. This is probably the one book that is the reason why I did not read as much, because it took me over a week to read this. Not because it was bad, but because it was bad timing with multiple distractions. Loved this book. I think it's my favorite Emily Henry. So this was a 4-star book. I just wanted to kind of throw this out there. And I don't think I put this in a video, but I could be wrong. But I also read Insomnia by Sarah Pembroke. I do not like Behind Her Eyes, but I actually really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I think it's worth reading. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And then my lowest rating book, and I hate to do this because I love this person as an author, but it's The Missing by Kiersten Modglin.
I've heard that one is not good.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the whole stranded on an island thing, and then like other things that happen and other issues. But I gave this 2.5 stars, sadly.
I gave it 1 star.
I know. I saw Jordan on her Instagram story. She gave it 1 star. I was like, oh, okay. Don't
I know, Gwen, I talked on your podcast about like, I pretty rarely give 1 stars. I think most people pretty rarely give 1 stars to books.
Yeah.
And I like reserve it for the books that I 100% would not recommend anyone read. And I was just trying to think, like, is there a situation that I would recommend this to someone over another book that has a similar, trope or idea? And it's absolutely not. I would not recommend this over other books that I've read that are similar. So that's it. Like, there's nothing justifying it. There's nothing justifying a higher rating to me. So that was a disappointment for sure.
Did you read that one, Lena?
I did. I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I saw Jordan with the 1 star, because like she said, she mentioned it on my podcast. She's like, I never give out 1 stars because like there's always something redeeming. So when she gave it 1, I was like, ooh, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like cheesy. It was like Gilligan's Island mixed with like Hunger Games.
Yeah.
With like a soap opera. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 sentences of the book just made me angry.
Yeah.
I could have maybe given it 3 stars if it weren't for the last 2 sentences of the book. I was like, really? You're gonna end it like that? Like, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say, Emily, woman after my own heart. Highest rated, The Love Hypothesis. Lowest rated, Bunny. Yes, Emily. I agree with Love Hypothesis. I agree with Bunny. Also, Deesha's here. So I want to say hi, Deesha. You've been at school. I haven't talked to you in forever. So that was really fun to see you in there. Okay, my highest rated were I gave both of these 5 stars. I hadn't had any 5 stars this month, you guys. I posted a picture on my podcast Instagram, and Sarah from Sarah Shelves like popped over and she was like, no 5 stars this month. And I was like, no, it's not looking good, you guys. And then on my reading sprints, on my Patreon, I was reading this one and it was so close. It was so close to a 5 star. It was so close. It was really good. I really do want to send it to you, Jessie. It was really good. It was super creepy. I mean, towards the end, I was like, whatever. But dude, there was some creepy stuff happening in here. It was so good. But my highest rated books were these. So happy that I read those. And then my lowest rated books, Breathless. And then I also read The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, which I was 100% sure that I was going to rate this 5 stars. I think I'm too dumb to understand the writing. So maybe this is a little bit above my pay grade or something, because I know people love this. And I will say, like, I did have some like favorites of the short stories. I really liked Peach Cobbler. I really liked Snowfall. And I really liked Instructions for Married Christian Husbands. But I just didn't get it. Like, maybe I wasn't supposed to. I don't know. So yeah, I rated both of those 2 stars, which I was really sad about. But
I think my highest rated book is going to be Defending Jacob. I had originally given it 4 stars when I read it at the beach. This was my other beach read. But then I kept on thinking about the ending, and the ending was just so well done. And so like I still like, even yesterday I was like, oh my gosh, that ending. So I think I'm going to move this one up to 5 stars. I often change my rating like a couple weeks later. And then my lowest rated book was The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. That book is trash, complete trash.
No, Lena.
Oh my god, robot porn, and just like the characters were all disgusting. They were like, and like I felt like the representation of autism in that book was not very. It just made me feel not good. It made me feel icky, and I work with individuals with autism, and so the way the child was depicted just made me feel icky, and the way behavior modification techniques were portrayed made me feel icky. And they were talking about, literally at one point, one of the characters was like, oh yeah, I want to have sex with this robot wife, and another guy was like, oh yeah, you should totally do that because it's not rape because it's a robot, right? And I was like, nope, I'm done. The reason I finished it was because it was the book pick for Jackie's Patreon, and she DNF'd it. And so I was like, well, I'll read to the ending. That way I can tell you what happens, because she DNF'd it. But oh my God, trash. And the other J.P. Delaney book I gave 1 star. It was like The Other Girl or Missing Girl or something. The Girl Before. And that one was complete trash. Like a bad version of 50 Shades of Grey. And everybody's like, oh, Lena, you should read Playing Nice. I'm like, no, I am not. Another
you should though. It's so good.
It is.
The books are trash.
Playing Nice is really different. I've read all of his books, and I actually liked the robot porn one. So, but I loved that book. I gave it 4 stars. It was my first book I read by him. I read it a couple summers ago. I loved it. I loved Believe Me. Believe Me is still my favorite. But Playing Nice is really different. It has a different tone to it.
Yeah, and it's not like a thriller.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones that calls itself a thriller, but it's like a family drama.
Yeah.
All of his male characters, I just want to punch them in the face. They're so misogynistic and
oh yeah, you'll want to punch the male characters in this one too, but for different reasons.
For the right reasons.
Yeah, for the right reasons.
I don't know if I can put myself through that again. Like,
oh my gosh,
like, my heart rate has increased just now just talking about this.
It's so good. To me, that's his best book, but I love it.
I don't know if I can do it.
I also wanted to say of these two, I know, gosh, am I holding up the wrong books still? Yes. Which books am I? Okay, these two. I read this one first, and then I read this one, just like in publication order, and I actually liked this one better.
What?
Just saying, because this one was, okay, did you think that this one was like fast paced?
Oh yeah.
This one was faster. Because this one is about this woman has just had a baby. Her and her husband, they've been married for like 6 months. They have this baby, and she's returning to work. And he's going to be the stay-at-home dad, which kind of reminded me of the Playing Nice, because that dad was also the stay-at-home dad. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so she goes back to work, and the reason why she's working is her job pays more. She has benefits. She actually likes her job, whereas he had this random job, no insurance, didn't pay as much. So she's like, you stay home with Gray and I'll go to work. And that was perfect. Well, of course she doesn't want to be away from her new baby. So there's some kind of turmoil there and stuff like that. But she gets home after her first day, very excited to see them, walk in the door and see them, and they're not there. So she calls, and he's like, oh, we're right outside the building now. I took the baby to the park, and the baby's only 2 weeks old. Okay. And she's like, why did you go to the park with a 2-week-old baby? It's like, oh, I just needed fresh air, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay. And then she notices a bag in the stroller, and she's like, oh, what's in the bag? And he's like, oh, my buddy stopped by and gave us this onesie, and shows her the onesie. And she's like, but if you stopped by and gave you the onesie, why'd you take it to the park? So then she starts thinking of all these things, why did he take the baby to the park? Why is there's this random onesie? So then she goes to do some laundry and she finds a receipt for this like place that he went to lunch, I guess. And there were 2 meals on there instead of 1 meal on there.
Oh.
So she's like, oh, so she asks him about it, right? She goes, oh, so you know what you got 2 lunches? Oh, I was just paying it forward. This woman didn't have enough for her and her daughter, so I took care of it and all this. She was like, okay, that's cool. That next morning when she was supposed to go to work, she calls into work like, I'm going to be late today. And she pulls down the street and watches her husband leave the house with the baby, go to the same restaurant, and then there's this woman there, and he's like talking to her and smiling and kissing and all this. So she calls him or texts him, and hey, what are you doing? I miss you guys. And they're talking. Oh, he's sleeping. You know, all this. And she's like, liar. And then she's like, oh, just send me a picture because I just really miss you guys. Are like, oh, well, I'm about to get in the shower. I'll send you one after I get out of the shower. I'm like, oh, you lying bastard, you lying bastard. So she's like, fine, whatever. And then they end up leaving. She follows the woman back to her house and like creeps in her backyard up this like tree house and is like spying on this woman. And then her husband, I guess like while she was following the woman, the husband goes to her job and they call her, your husband's here looking for you. So she's like, oh crap. So she goes to the office, talks to him, whatever. And then later on where the thrills really come in, if that wasn't thrilling enough, is something happens and the husband and the baby go missing. Oh. And so now she's like, what the heck? So yeah, so she's trying to find her husband, and she doesn't really care about the husband because she knows he's lying, cheating scum, but she's trying to look for her baby. And she's like, and of course she gets the cops involved and all of this. That's what I really liked about it, is she was smart. You know, she didn't like not ask him about the meals. She was like, I see this receipt for this. Like what's up with this? And she wasn't just going to let him lie to her. She was kind of like, okay, well, send me a picture, you know? And even when she got the police involved and they were like, don't get involved, don't go, you know, we'll figure it out. She was like, I'm looking for my baby. I am going to look. So I loved that about it. I like when books are like smart and you're not yelling at them like, oh, go do this, go do that. So
yeah.
What was your personal favorite book of the month, and what book would you recommend people add to their TBR? Jessie was real quick. Yep, this was mine.
I think, well, it's hard to pick favorite, but I think the one that I would most broadly recommend, if you haven't read it, is Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid, because it's super quick. The basic premise is it's about this woman who writes a letter to a man because she has found out that her husband is cheating with his wife. So she's letting him know, hey, my husband is cheating with your wife. I would want to know if I was in your position. And then they just start a correspondence back and forth. And so it's just written in letters of the two of them corresponding, and it's historical fiction. I think it's the 70s, maybe 60s.
Yeah, 70s.
70s. Okay. So, you know, it's kind of cute that they're writing letters and not like texting and whatever. But
yeah,
it's just really sweet, and it's doubly like angering and emotional, because obviously if you found out your spouse was cheating, that would be horrible. But then it's also kind of like heartwarming in a way, because they get this, you know, they form this bond over that shared experience. And like the fact that all of that can happen within, I can't even remember, what is it, like a 2 hours or less audiobook. The fact that it's so short and can pack such a punch, I thought was amazing. So if any of you have similarly to me been putting that off as, you know, a Taylor Jenkins Reid that you just aren't getting to, I would recommend still prioritizing it. And then I know a lot of people who read it are like, I need a whole book of this. And I feel the same way. I could read a whole 400-page book of that whole story. But it's really unique that it's so short.
Yeah.
Mine, I think my favorite book is probably Defending Jacob. That's probably my favorite one of the month. And then the one that I would recommend everybody add to their TBRs is True Biz by Sarah Novich. I really enjoyed this one. And I feel like it did a good job of teaching people about deaf culture and different types of deafness that I think a lot of people wouldn't be aware of. And I have a pretty good background in deaf culture. I have an extensive background in ASL, and I dabbled in interpreting for a little bit. And there was still things in here that I learned, and things that I didn't even think about. And I never really made the connection with behavioral issues and deafness versus behavioral issues and like autism. I work with individuals with autism who, have behavioral issues, aggression, things like that. And the character in here is talking about how she was restrained and secluded in school because she would have these outbursts. And she was put in the special ed classroom for these outbursts when really she was just frustrated because she didn't have the language to be able to communicate her wants and needs. And I feel like a lot of times that's just things that we don't think about. And then there was LGBTQ representation in here, disability representation, like just so much good representation in here. Talked a little bit about Black American Sign Language and the differences and just some basic history. And so it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I think it's an easy way to learn about a certain culture without having to like read a history book on it or read a nonfiction book on it. It's like an easy storytelling way of learning about just different types of people.
Yeah, or go to college for 5 years and learn all about it that way. I could have just read the book.
Anyway, did you think, Lena? Oh, sorry. I was going to say, Elena, what did you think of the ending and like the sort of mystery kind of portion of it? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I understand what the author was trying to do, like as like a slice of life. Yeah. And so I was satisfied with the ending because I like ambiguous endings. I like endings that aren't like wrapped up. And so I like the idea that it's a slice of life because like, you don't always get to know the ending. Yeah. You know, like that's my thing with like The Perfect Child. Like nobody liked the ending of The Perfect Child. And I'm like, I love that ending because you don't always get to know what happens. Sometimes like your knowledge of what happens just ends. You don't get to know what that person goes through. You don't get to know what happens. So I was fine with the ending.
Yeah. Nice. I didn't. I loved the rest of it so much that I still would absolutely, for all the reasons you said, would recommend it to everyone. But I was like, why would you put like a mystery sort of element in the book if you're not gonna like see it out? And so I was like, ugh. Like, the rest of it was perfect, but I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that other people might not be as frustrated by that.
Yeah.
Jessie, I was surprised to see Hold Up Book Lovers.
Yeah.
A couple of us read it. So Jessie, Jordan, and I all read Book Lovers. What did you end up rating that one, Jordan, if you want to tell us?
Yeah, I gave it 3 stars.
I did too.
Yeah, it's my least favorite of
my least favorite.
I loved the couple and the characters. Like, I loved our main woman, strong female. Oh, I loved her. And I really liked the love interest too. And I liked their chemistry. And I liked how it wasn't trying to do the opposites attract kind of thing. It was like, they're actually pretty similar and they're different from most other people and they're good for each other. I just wish it would have been set like in New York City or somewhere where they really could just like do their thing. Right. I thought the small town part was less interesting, and I don't really like small towns in real life. I don't really like reading about small towns. So I was like, all right.
I will say when I was reading the book, like I was like, what is actually the plot? Like I get to have like
the plot list.
Like the plot was just not very like visible to me. Like you have this woman who's taking this trip with her sister to this small town, and I was like, okay, so what's the point of going?
Yeah, it was like they didn't actually have to be there. It was just seemingly because she wanted a book set in a small town.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you get to like the love interest and like the banter and everything, I was like, okay, is this like a enemies to lovers? And I was like, well, no, because like not really, but then they're not friends to lovers. And I was like, I mean, I love it. Like I love what I'm reading, but I'm just confused. Like what's the point? I mean, in the end, it all like came together, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's Yeah, I love
I'm
it.
so glad that you liked it. And I know there are people out there, like, I know that Ashley rated it really
So
high.
many people are.
So many
loving
people
it
like
just
love
as
this one.
much.
And it's so
Mhm.
funny because I'm that person that likes those like small town, cutesy rom-com romances. And then everybody hates those. And then they read this. And I think it's kind of like that thing. Like if you like the kind of romances I like, then you'll like this one because I did like it. It was kind of plotless. I didn't really like the main characters that are more like stern, more business, more like New York City. Like, yeah, no, I don't like that.
It also
And
doesn't help that it referenced my favorite book of all time in the book. So putting it out there, that earned a whole star by twice.
And then what bothered me is the sister timeline because like you said, Jessie, the thing is that she's taking a trip with her sister, but I literally didn't feel her spending any time with her sister at all. Like she was basically still working in this small town and her sister was doing
the sister was also like
doing whatever,
her own thing, and like, I don't need you, sis.
And I understand. I read the book, so I know what was happening behind the scenes. But at the time, I was like, y'all took a sister trip, like do stuff. And I felt like this was the perfect opportunity for them to discuss all the things that were discussed in the last 20 pages because it was a sister trip. This is what you should have been talking about since the beginning. But also, I just didn't feel like the sister thing had to be there at all. It would have been better if it was, because I understand what she was doing, taking the opposite person, like, the Hallmark movies where the big city gal goes to the town, meets the guy, falls in love, but what's left with the other person behind? I get that. But like, I don't know. It just didn't work. I mean, I do like the banter. I did like the writing. I did like the setting. I just didn't like the sister thing. They're not my type of characters. I like the Hallmark stuff. So
yeah,
there's that.
I'm still so bummed that Book Lovers was not a Book of the Month pick because now it's match my And I know there's so many, people have so many opinions about Book of the Month versions. I personally like them because I store all of mine together. And so like, I like the aesthetic. I like having everything over there. I keep them all on their own shelf. And so now it's not gonna match. So like part of me wants to wait until the hardback version comes out.
Yeah, I think that Book of the Month kind of did themselves a disjustice when they released like more than one book by the same author. Mm-hmm. So now you have like 2 books by Riley Sager that are Book of the Month books, or 3 books by Riley Sager that are Book of the Month. You're just going to want to keep having them so you could put them. I mean, we're book nerds, guys. We like our books to look pretty on our shelves. Okay, get it straight.
I'm nervous that Riley Sager's book is not going to be.
Well, I already pre-ordered it. I'm over it now because I already ordered Survive the Night on my own. I ordered me and Jessie The House Across the Lake. I was like, I'm pre-ordering this for us.
Yeah,
I'm just over
Survive the Night was an add-on. And then, so I'm worried that this one, because they have had him a lot. And so I'm worried that they're not going to, and then it's not going to match all of them.
Yeah, I agree. It was an interesting choice on their part because it did seem like they were leaning into that for, a year or so, whatever, several years when they were having those repeat authors and they were even featuring them as like four-peat author, whatever. So it's like, okay, you're going to keep building this and do the like flagship people, where you always have their books. And then all of a sudden they were like, actually, we're pivoting to the lesser known books, which I think is an equally respectable, like, intention. Right. It's just interesting that they switched it kind of partway through because they disappointed some people for sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'm glad that like I never would have picked this up. Yeah. And even though I didn't necessarily like it, I'm glad I read from an author that I never would have read from before. Yeah. So I am glad that they are diversifying what they are offering. But now that they're offering more than 5 picks, they could have had it as one of those. They could have had it as an add-on. It's just, there have been lots of changes, and I don't know if I'm okay with them, but I'm just, going with them. And I have been skipping a lot. I think I've been subscribed to them since 2018, I think 2017 or 2018. And this year I have skipped a couple months, and I'm probably going to skip June if the spoilers that I saw were right. So
Yeah.
don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So disappointing. Okay. So what was your favorite character of the month?
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's going to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Good.
Has anyone else read this?
No, but I want to.
I did. I read that
I
this
want
month.
to.
I really liked I forgot what her name is. This was my first read, Emma. I really liked her because it's about a woman who's getting ready to turn 40. And when her mom turned 40, she kind of went a little off her rocker, and like something happened, and yada. So she's really nervous that when she turns 40, things are going to happen. I really liked the whole like not sleeping and insomnia. But then like when she would like wake up in the middle of the night, she was like almost kind of like a different person in a way. And I thought that was so interesting. And then it'd be like waking up, like, I don't know. She was just very intriguing to read about, both like when she was awake and then like when she woke up in the middle of the night, and then like all the confusion and things like that. So I really, really enjoyed this one as a character.
Nice.
I'll say someone that in a book that I probably won't talk about otherwise. So I read the Soulmate Equation this month, and I gave it 3 stars. It was okay for me, but the main character in this I really, really liked. She is a like data scientist or data analyst as a job, which I found really interesting. She also has a daughter, which I always love seeing that in romances when, you know, one of the characters or potentially both of the characters have children. Maybe not, you know, every romance, but I think it adds a little something different and something real life into romances. So I really liked that about this main female main character in this one.
I also thought the kid in that actually felt like a kid.
Yeah.
Super
I agree.
adorable.
Yeah, super cute.
I am going to go with Nadine from Always Watching by Chevy Stevens. I ended up giving this book 3 stars by the end, but I really liked the character. So this is about a psychiatrist who works in a psych hospital. So already something I know I'm going to be interested in. And she starts treating this woman who is suicidal, who has escaped from a cult. So you have cult vibes, you have psych hospital vibes. So I was so excited for this. And it was a 5-star for the first third of the book. And then it dropped to a 4-star. And then it dropped to a 3-star. But anyways, I really liked the character because she is just so real. And like the way Chevy Stevens depicted this psychiatrist was just so well done. Like even in The Good Lie, I felt like it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, psychiatrists are invincible. We can do everything. We don't have these problems that other people do. But the reality is like, no, people who work in healthcare, people who work in mental health have mental health issues. And so she's talking about like how she's embarrassed that she has OCD because of things that happened to her in her past. And she talks about her trauma, and she's embarrassed because her daughter has drug addiction. And, you know, she's like, how can I help all these people when I have all of these demons? But like, that's reality. That's real life. And she was just so vulnerable. And I just really, really enjoyed her commentary about it. But like the actual plot of the book it missed the mark, but it seemed like it was going to be really great. And like I said, the first half, it would have been 4 stars. And then the ending just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, I read that one as well. And I also liked the character, Nadine. And I don't know if you've read Still Missing or Never Knowing by Chevy Stevens. That's the first published, second published, and that's the third published book. Nadine is in those first 2 books as well. She's not the main character. She's just the person that the main character is talking to. So she's kind of like a background character. But yeah, it was really, really interesting.
I have Still Missing saved on script, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's
I really liked that one until about the halfway mark, and then I was kind of like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So my favorite character is Lily from Something Wilder. I read this for my podcast. The episode will be out on June 13th. I'm reading this with Lauren from Lauren Loves Reads or Lauren Loves Read. And I really loved Lily as a character. I really liked Leo too. This is my jam, not so much my jam as far as characters go. But yeah, it was so fun. She was such a firecracker. She had really great one-liners. She really stood up for herself. Really funny. I loved the mixture of seeing her friendship with Nicole in here, and her and Leo kind of have a past. So kind of seeing her, because in the beginning, it's like 10 years before, or I don't know if it's like the prologue or the first chapter at this point. Let's see. Yes, the prologue. It was 10 years ago. So you get to see her like in love with Leo, and then it starts over like, today's time or whatever. And I don't know. It's just really, really great. Her as a character. And she takes people out on these like treasure hunts out in the like Red Rocks of Utah and stuff. And it's all kind of like BS, like there's no freaking treasure out there, but her dad always thought that there was, and he would keep like all these journals and all these maps and, like all of this stuff. This group of guys comes out to go on like one of these adventure tours or whatever. And it's very interesting. It's funny because I really thought you would have liked the Soulmate Equation because of the sciencey stuff, Jordan. And I also think you would kind of like this one. I mean, now that I heard you gave it 3 stars, I'm like, okay, maybe not. But this one has to do with like clues and like ciphers and stuff like that. So I'm like, Jordan might actually like this. I don't know.
I'm sure I would like those aspects of it.
Right.
But, like,
So I'm like, but what's
if the romance is cutesy, I'm just gonna be like, no.
Yeah.
See, I don't think it is cutesy.
Okay.
I don't think it's cutesy because like they kind of have a past, and I feel like she's kind of like, we can't be going down this road again. And there is a romance, but it's also got this other like kind of mystery kind of, I don't want to say a thriller, but something happens on this trip, and then you're kind of like, oh crap, now what? And then something else happens, and you're just kind of like, oh crap. So it's not as focused on the romance. It's not like that Hallmark. It's more of like an adventure romance.
Yeah, I won't write it off. I'm keeping it on my radar.
Well, since you guys are my patrons, you get an exclusive reading vlog the day before the episode comes out. So
I have that on my TBR for June. I think it's one of the ones I'm going to start with so that I can have it read before the episode comes out.
Yeah.
On a scale of like in a holidays, which is super cheesy,
No, it's
to
not.
Love in Other Words, where would you rank it?
Well, I guess I'll spoil this for you guys now. So Lena asked, so I always ask on my podcast Instagram, like questions, like, do you guys have any questions about like that you want me to answer in the episode? And Lena said, where would you rank this amongst Christina, Lawrence, like other books that you have read? I have read a crap ton of Christina Lauren. I'll tell you all of the books. Let me pull up my picture because I took a little picture and I'm going to share it on the podcast Instagram, of course. Let me get to it. It was so hard. I was like, this is literally the hardest question ever. Okay, so I have read Dating You, Hating You, My Favorite Half Night Stand, Roomies, Twice in a Blue Moon, In a Holidays, The Soulmate Equation, The Honey Don't List, Love in Other Words, The Unhoneymooners, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. What's that other one? The YA one, the Mormon one. Anyway, that one. And I put this 4th. It's my 4th favorite because Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I know people don't like quirky characters, but I love quirky characters. And Hazel is like a quirky character. And the romance between these are like friends to lovers. And it's just so freaking soft. And the Unhoneymooners, I haven't read it in a while. And this is why it was hard because I haven't read these in a while. I just remember it being really fun, kind of escapism. They go to Maui and stuff like that. And Love in Other Words is just like,
Yeah, I love that one.
It's so freaking personal to me. So I love that one. I could just, so I put it 4th. So that's pretty good. I put it over the Honey Don't List, which I love, the Soulmate Equation, and the Holidays, and all the other ones that I read.
Lena appears to not like Love in Other Words.
My least favorite one of the Christina.
Okay, but why didn't you like it?
They were annoying and they were depressing and they were.
I just hate it when people are like, oh my God, it's so unrealistic. And I'm like, bitch, I lived that. So don't even tell me it's unrealistic because I can tell you some stories. I can whip out my journals.
I just didn't like the characters. I thought that the characters were just like unbelievable. And like, I don't know. I just felt like it could have been done so much better. And I just feel like it was like, it could have been really good, but there were just certain things in it that I didn't like. But like In a Holidays might be my favorite. I've read 4.
Jessie is like, no.
I've read 4. I liked The Unhoneymooners and In a Holidays, and I didn't like Love in Other Words and my favorite Half Night Stand or whatever. That one was just bizarre.
Yeah. I rated Dating You, Hating You, my favorite Half Night Stand, and Roomies all 2 stars. They sucked. I was so, and those are like some of her first, they're of standalones. I don't know about their series. I haven't read any of their series, but those are some of their like first published ones. And I'm like, I am so glad I did not start here because I would not be a big fangirl if that was the case. But anyway, that's that book. I really liked Lily as the character. What about plot? What was your favorite plot? Ooh, I had some good ones. Okay, man, I don't know.
I'm probably going to say this too.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is that yours too?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I had so many good plots.
It's good, Gwen. It's good.
Okay, guys, I get it. All right, so for plots, I'm going to say a couple. I really liked the plot of this one.
Ooh,
I'm so
that's
excited to read that.
It's high on my
definitely had
list.
some like creepiness going on to it. Okay, I'm going to be straight up tell y'all. This is what I wanted Brother to be by Anya Alborn.
Oh.
This is what I wanted that to be. Yeah, that's what I wanted to be. I loved this one. I also liked this one. I know, Lena, this is your favorite, but I ended up rating this 3 stars.
Oh, okay. That doesn't mean it's bad.
But, and I do have a reading vlog of this coming soon. I really like certain aspects of it. And I was like, and I mean, I flew through this book though. I mean, it was so fast paced for me. Yeah. But I don't know. There was just some things I was like, no. But I did think the plot was very interesting. You didn't like this one?
No, I read it a while ago, so I don't really remember the details. I think I read it close to when it came out, but I remember being disappointed by it.
Yeah, it was.
Are you gonna post that one on your Pango bookstore, Gwen?
Why do you want it?
If you decide to post it on your Pango bookstore, let me know, and I will like get right on there and buy it.
Oh, I'll just send it to you.
No, I'll buy it from your Pango bookstore. I borrowed it from a coworker when I read it, and then I gave it back to her because she got it like right when it came out. And I've been like looking around, but every time I see it in bookstores, it's I'm like, well,
I'll send it to you. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you. Any favorite book covers?
Ooh.
Just aesthetics, people.
I do like book lovers.
I don't know. I didn't even think about my answer for this. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with this just so I do something different. I really like this one. It kind of reminded me of Grown in a Way by Tiffany D. Jackson, where it has like a really pretty like pop of color and just like the contrast and the side profile. And in person, the blue is like almost like glitter.
Yeah.
It's not glitter, but it looks glittery. And I just love
have
it so
too.
much.
I have
and
it
then
too.
I love the back too.
Oh, yeah.
So like,
yeah.
how freaking pretty. And I love the pic. It's cute. So yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. With Jordan's pick, one thing I like about Emily Henry is like, if you have it on yourself, you never know what you have to like.
It's like
if you go by like rainbow order and stuff. Like,
the complimentary pop of color.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if not this one, just I mean, even though this book wasn't that great, I still think the cover's really pretty.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, this would have been my second choice.
Yeah, I just like how like minimalistic this one is.
Yeah, I love
It is
how
nice.
we all had something blue too.
Yeah, we did.
There we go.
Okay, so any books that you would prefer to have read or would recommend someone read in a different season?
Yeah,
Ooh.
for sure.
And
I'm very confused why this came out in May, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
Is she's a debut, maybe?
Yeah.
No, she's written a YA
Right. Yeah.
novel, but this is her adult debut. So maybe it's just like, I don't know, maybe delayed by COVID, or maybe trying to get out her first book, like getting excited, but it's such a winter book.
So is this one. This one is like, it's set in New York City, like Brooklyn and the Bronx, and it's over like kind of New Year's ish time. So it's like January, February. So, and then this one is, well, it's not all set in wintertime, but like the second half of the book is set during a snowstorm. So
It looks wintry.
yeah.
So I don't know if this actually counts, but like Book Lovers, I think takes place in summer. So I think we're technically in spring. The Missing is out in the middle of the ocean on an island, and then One Italian Summer, definitely a summer read.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you think.
I also said I had some summary reads, so I would say Book Lovers. Obviously, it takes place in the summer. Something Wilder, I think, is a good summer book. Like it's like an adventure, out in the Red Rocks of Utah, and then The Island is a good summer read because it takes place in Australia. And it's like a family taking a vacation, and then their kids are kind of disappointed with, well, they're not actually on vacation. He's there for a job, but he brought his family with them so that they could have like the experience of going as well. And they're like, we haven't seen anything cool. We really want to see something cool. So these one people are like, oh, if you want to see koalas, like go over to this island, but like, no, actually don't, because that's private land. And, and they're like, but we really want to go. The kids want to see it. Our trip's coming to an end. And he's like, throw some money at us. We'll take you over there. And then, crap goes down. They're going to wish they didn't go. So yeah, those are summary.
Gwen, did you read Reckless Girls?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Why?
Don't hate on it, Lena. I loved it.
Reckless Girls is like one of the worst books I've read this year. And like, what you described on the island sounds exactly like Reckless Girls, and I've been waiting for the island. Like, it's one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I'm like, oh my god, she's making it sound like Reckless Girls.
I know.
No,
Reckless Girls.
Okay. Rachel Hawkins. The problem with Reckless Girls for me, the reason why I didn't like it, Jordan liked the adventure of it, and I get that. I didn't like it because it talked in a synopsis about the creepy island. The island was not creepy. There was literally, they got to the island and nothing creepy happened. I wanted creepy stuff to happen. Imagine if Reckless Girls, what did have a creepy island? Okay, imagine. And then mix in a little bit of the family from the brother. This is this book.
Okay.
So,
all right.
and I hated Brother. I was like, this is what I wanted Brother to be. This is it. So I know, Jessie. I didn't like it. I did not like it. Was too character driven for me. I'll just say that. I could care less. If you're not giving me a plot, I don't care who you are. I really don't care. Okay, so did you participate in any book clubs, readathons, or challenges this month? If so, which, and what did you read for whatever you did? I do want to let people watching know that I did link a couple of things that I knew would be brought up in this live show down below. So I have the Sleep When I'm Dead book club hosted by Jessie. I have that linked down below. And I linked her video for the picks for April, May, and June. I know she's coming out with another video soon doing more picks and stuff, but I have that one linked down below. I have the Thrill to the Weekend. I think I have Jacqueline's video linked down that. That's over now, of course. But I have that linked down there. And then I know a lot of people participate in Kayla from Books and Lala's challenge, the buzzwordathon thing where there's a buzzword or something like that every single month. So I have that linked down below. And then also, I know this is totally not this type of question, but I also have Elizabeth from Reading Riley, her book cover phone tag challenge linked down below, because I know the three of you, like, I haven't seen Jordan's video yet, but I know
but I've been
she's
tagged.
working on it.
Yeah.
But I know Jessie and Lena have done it, and I was also finally tagged. Thank you, Jessie. So I'm going to be doing it as well, but I thought it'd be fun for us to kind of try to do that. I don't know if we have any books that are similar, but so I have those linked in the description box if you missed any of those. But yeah, what did you guys read for all that stuff?
I participated in my own book club pick with Ashley from Ashley's Little Library. So I did participate in that. That was last Thursday. I did read only one book, but I did participate in the Thrill to the Weekend readathon. I did not vlog it though, just because I was trying to squeeze in this book, but also have fun with my sister during her bachelorette trip, which I'm so tired from that trip. So unreal. Like,
it's over.
Like how old I am, and I'm no longer like 24 anymore.
Yeah.
And then I did also participate, like Gwen said, in the telephone tag challenge, which was so fun. And I highly recommend, even if you don't have a channel, I highly recommend like playing along with it, because it was so much fun. It was very hard. It was very challenging to get books to connect with each other.
And you could always do it on your Instagram, like do the little things, and then that way you just put the pictures of the books, and then like people can swipe through and see. So, and then make sure you tag Elizabeth though, so she can see it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The only one that I mentioned already is Confessions. I did for Kayla's like monthly book club. But otherwise, just what Jessie said.
Yeah, and I also read The Good Lie for Jessie's book club, and then I participated in Thrill Till the Weekend, and I read The Missing. I read the Lucinda Berry novella. I read a serial killer short story, and then Blaze, all for Thrill Till the Weekend. And then I did like a TBR challenge with my Facebook book club. So a lot of the books that I read this year are from that TBR challenge. And my partner for the TBR jar challenge actually has a YouTube channel. So when I do my wrap up on my channel, I'm going to mention her and link her video and stuff in there too. Because she actually like took a video of her picking all of the books for me to put in my jar and like talking about why she picked them for me. So
fun. That would be super fun to watch. I also noticed that, like I was saying earlier, we did have some books in common. So like One Little Mistake, Jessie and Lena and I, we all read it. So what did everybody rate it?
I gave it 3.
Yeah, I gave it 3 as well. It was a super quick read, and I actually had to listen to it twice because, I was only listening to it on audio. It's an Audible original. So you can only listen to it on Audible. And I'm not the best at only listening to audiobooks. That's why I do like having the physical book as well, but that wasn't an option. So I had to listen to it twice, and then I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I was like, Jessie, what did you rate it? She was like 3. I was like, okay, I'll give it 3 too. I didn't even know what to think about that. And then of course, I know that Jordan has a book of the month vlog coming. You'll be able to hear all of her thoughts on Breathless, and then I'll have my book of the month vlog, and then you can kind of decide which way you want to go with that. Cause I felt so bad. It might have been Megan when she said that she was going to read Breathless, but then she didn't because of my review. And I was like, oh no. I think I said in my vlog, I mentioned you, Jordan, because I saw your review for it. I was like, but one of my friends really loved it. So like, if it sounds good, go for it. Did any of you read anything that would fit for the buzzword challenge for Kayla? Maybe not this month, but just like any month. Some of the things are like the 5 W's, pronouns, locations, big and little. I don't know if it has to be big and little, but One Little Mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has to be big.
No, I think it's super flexible. Like whatever you can stretch to fit it, I'm pretty sure she's like, whatever, count it.
And then if you haven't read Book Lovers yet, you can read that in July for the book related words, because book lovers. And then December for numbers, One Little Mistake. would also count if you want to listen to that.
Yeah. I also read Blue Ticket by Sophie McIntosh, and this counts for like the August one because a blue ticket is like an item.
Oh yeah, an item.
Yeah, and then I had a bunch of the ING for November: Always Watching, Defending Jacob, The Hunting Wives, and The Missing.
Nice.
Oh, nice. I didn't know if something like ING, it does end with ING, so maybe something wilder. I don't know. Just count it, guys.
Count.
Just do it.
I have Cross Her Heart by Sarah Pinborough, which I haven't mentioned on the so far. This goes for the pronouns for February. I guess with book related, obviously book lovers. The missing for the ING numbers was numbers on there. Yeah, December. Yeah. So 1, and then also locations for Italian. Well, Italian is a
like an adjective.
Close.
So that's as close as I'm going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really looked. I guess 1, 2, 3, if I would have finished it, would have counted for numbers. And I don't know for like the direction. It wasn't there one that was like, I don't know, like bottom. Is that one of the ones? Like top, bottom? I don't know. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know. I'd have to stretch it quite a bit, but I haven't been keeping up with that challenge, so I don't know. That could
be a directions. It's at the bottom of the lake.
Right. It's literally telling you the directions to get there.
Oh my goodness. I just wanted to show off that Megan also did not like Reckless Girls. Did y'all see that?
And then Kim calls it similar to The Missing, which I like. Obviously, it is because it's people on an island. But I gave one 5 stars and I gave one 1 star. So
there was obviously something different.
Yeah, I can see those two comparisons.
Right.
And that makes me nervous because I'm like, ooh, like I kind of know that I'm like over the whole cult craze. So now I'm like, ooh, and I'm also over the whole like Agatha Christie's, and then there were none. Like I feel like everyone's doing that. Now I'm like, ooh, am I over the whole island thing? Because that makes me really nervous because I really want to be the island.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be my deciding factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm over the whole isolation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, as far as like the creepiest books that I read were probably The Island and that one Spare Room book that I just like randomly picked up. It's an indie published book. Picked it up at the Book Exchange, and it was one of the 22 books I want to read in 2022. Picked it up and I read it. I read the majority of it on my sprints that night, and then I finished it up the next day. It's about this woman that is looking for a spare room. She comes across an ad that says, hey, you know, it's this married couple that has this room for rent. So she goes, she looks at it. She's like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect. So she goes, gets the room. And then the very first night, the guy, it's funny when she's looking at the room, the guy that's like showing her, oh, this is the room. This is where the bathroom is, blah, blah, blah. And then the older woman like comes in and she's like, oh, your son was just like showing me around. And she like kisses him on the lips. She's like, oh crap, that's right. They're a couple. So it's like this older woman and this like younger guy. And, but anyway, so on the first night that she's actually in her room, the guy comes up and he's like, oh, you needed to sign the lease. And he like has wine and he has like wine glasses and he like, it's just this whole like weird, icky, like vibe you get, you know? And another thing about her room is that you can only lock it when you're in the room. So when she's in the room, she can slide the bolt, you know, but when she leaves, like when she goes to work or whatever, there's no way to lock her room, and they have like full access to her room and stuff like that. And then just like weird things start happening. And even the neighbor, she like meets the neighbor and the neighbor doesn't like them, and just weird things go on. But also like the main character kind of has like a past. Like I feel like she had like an eating disorder or something like that and has been like in and out of treatments. She also like sleepwalks. She doesn't call it that. She calls it like awake sleep or something like that. But I'm like, yeah, you're sleepwalking, bitch. I know what you're talking about. And where she like ties herself to the bed at night, and
Oh my
there's just so much, but it's just like so good. Like I said, the ending was kind of like, okay, but I mean, yeah, I really liked it. I rated it 4 stars. I've never even heard of this author. I've never even heard of this book. So I'm just so glad that I randomly picked it up, and then it ended up being so good. I picked it up because the cover reminds me of Behind Closed Doors. And then it does say, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. And then it said a twisty, dark psychological thriller. So I'm going to be sending this one to Jessie. I'm going to be sending the Institute to Lena. Does anybody else have any questions or anything for us? Please let us know now. But for you ladies, are there any books that you're hoping to finish before the end of the month? We've got like tonight, tomorrow, Tuesday.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to finish this one, and then I might just take it easy until the start of June. I always like the few months I've done this live show with you, Gwen. I kind of use this as like my cutoff for the month, and then I can use the next couple days to like catch up on like podcasts and booktube and like all the things that I feel like I don't have time for when I'm trying to cram in all the books. So I kind of like cutting it off a couple days early.
Yeah, take a little break.
Just based on this, I might try to do Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid, because I know it's super short, right?
It's very short.
Yeah, so I might try to squeeze that one in. And then I know, how many pages is The Liar's Wife, Gwen?
I think it is 222.
222. Okay, because it is on Kindle Unlimited with the audio, so I might just try to get that one as well. So
okay, I think it's 223. I'm sorry, it was one page off. Oh my gosh. And are there any like highly anticipated releases for June, or what's at the top of your TBR for June?
Lucinda Berry's new book.
Yeah, I have that one pre-ordered, so I'm really excited for that one. I guess for something different, definitely The Island, just because we've been talking about it. That's definitely happening in June. So
yeah, I don't know yet. I have a very busy month of June planned. Personally, we have like 3 weddings, and my son is turning 1, so we're doing a birthday party for him. So I just know that like my weekends are super booked, so I don't even know how much I'm going to read in June. So I haven't made a super strict TBR yet. So I'm not sure. We'll see what mood reading does for me, I guess.
Yeah, I'm probably going to just go into myself like some summary type books. I'm actually sharing a summer TBR over on my Patreon. So if you want to know what my plans are, you have to join my Patreon. I picked like 7 or 8 books, and I'll be sharing that in June with them. Of course, I'll be finishing this I could probably finish this before the end of the month. But I also wanted to let you guys know that there will not be a reading wrap-up live show in June or July, just because like I want everybody to enjoy their summer. I want to enjoy my summer, and I figured at the end of the summer in August, we can have a big like summer bash and talk about like all the books that we read over the summer and stuff. So no live shows for June or July, but I will be back on the last Sunday in August with some fun guests and stuff like that. So definitely look forward to that, but just get out there, read all the books, and then you can come back and talk to me about them at the end of the summer. But I think that's all for us. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me. I had so much fun.
Thanks for having us.
Deesha mentioned The House Across the Lake.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have to throw that out there. So
yes, I mean, that's a given, obviously. Jessie and I are actually going to be reading that together. That's one of the reasons why I pre-ordered the book, but it was also a gift. But she's going to be on my podcast in August, actually on my wedding anniversary, August 8th. That's when our full in-depth book discussion for The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager will be airing. So lots of fun things coming on the podcast, lots of fun things happening over on Patreon. Check out these ladies' channels. They have lots of fun things happening on their channel. And of course they wrap up their books on their channel and stuff like that too. And they go more in depth with all of the books. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope everybody had fun, and I'll see you guys at the end of the summer in August for another one of these. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.